Welcome to Kautilya. From today onwards, I am going to discuss about Indian geography. Up to the yesterday's or the last class, I have discussed about the important components of world geography, and we covered world physical geography in chapters like geomorphology, climatology and oceanography. And at the end of the climatology chapter, I covered for you the important aspects of world human and economic geography. So that completes world geography, that is world physical, human and economic geography. From today onwards, we are going to discuss about Indian geography, and this Indian geography consists of three components again, that is Indian physical geography, Indian economic geography and Indian social or human geography. So these are three important components of Indian geography. So first we will discuss about Indian physical geography, later we will go through Indian economic geography and finally Indian social or human geography. Now in Indian physical geography, Indian physical geography we will discuss about the physiography of India, the physical structure of India, the physical features of India. So whatever we read in our geomorphology chapter, the different types of landforms which are evolved over their surface. Similarly, today in Indian landmass, there are different types of physical features. Mountains are there, plateaus are there, plains are there, hills are there, ghats are there. So all these physical features which consist of Indian physiography. So in Indian physical geography, we will discuss about Indian physiography, which is nothing but the physical features of India, like the mountains in India, like the plains in India, plateaus in India, different hills in India. Then we will go to Indian drainage system. So here in Indian drainage system, the second chapter of Indian physical geography is Indian drainage system. In Indian drainage system, we will discuss about the different types of rivers in India, like the Himalayan rivers, peninsular rivers and their sources and their drainage basins. So these Himalayan rivers like Ganga, Brahmaputra and Indus, and peninsular rivers like Narmada, Tapati, then Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, Penna, Palar, Vaigai, all these rivers. And apart from these, some of the east flowing rivers like the Mahanadi and the Damodar rivers in India. That is about Indian drainage system. Then after this, the third topic in Indian physical geography is Indian climate. Indian climate. So in Indian climate, we will discuss about the different seasons in India according to India's meteorological department, and the different seasons experienced by the Indian landmass in 1 year, and the features of these seasons and the characteristics of these seasons and the importance of these seasons, and finally the distribution of rainfall in India, how the rainfall got distributed in length and breadth of India, how the mechanism of monsoons developed over India, how the mechanism of monsoons sweeps throughout the length and breadth of India, and how Indian landmass receives rainfall in particular season and why Indian landmass do not get rainfall in their season. That all we will discuss in Indian climate. Then later we will go to Indian forest cover or natural vegetation of India. Natural vegetation of India. In natural vegetation, we will discuss about the natural vegetation means the forest cover, the grasslands, the shrubs, the thorns which are spread in different pockets of Indian landmass, and how these type of natural vegetation has been developed in that particular area. What are the reasons, what are the causes behind the development of those type of vegetation in that particular location? Why some regions are studded with green forests, why some regions are studded with thorn bushes, why some regions are studded with the deciduous forest, why some regions are studded without any vegetation. So that we will discuss in Indian natural vegetation. Then later we will go to the different types of flora and fauna in India, and the importance of this flora and fauna in India. Like, so the different types of flora and the different types of fauna in Indian landmass or Indian forests. And here basically we will discuss about Indian environmental geography, the features of Indian environmental geography, where we will discuss about what are the steps taken by the government of India or the respective state governments to protect the flora and fauna in their respective states. So here the conservation methods of this flora and fauna by the government of India as well as the respective state governments. So there we will discuss about the national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, then biosphere reserves, then bird sanctuaries, then tiger reserves. So these are all the important areas in this Indian environmental geography. So the location and distribution of these different types of national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, biosphere reserves, bird sanctuaries, tiger reserves in different states of Indian landmass. Right. Then later, at the end of this Indian physical geography, we will go to Indian soils, the different types of soils in India and their features and their characteristics and of course their distribution. So which type of soils are distributed in which state, and which type of soils are widely distributed in India, which type of soils are least distributed in India, and the important crops which are grown in these soils, are these soils suitable for which type of crops. So that we will discuss about the Indian soils. With this we are going to complete our Indian physical geography. That means all these 6 individual chapters comprise our Indian physical geography or Indian physiography basically. Right. Now before going to the Indian physical geography, let me give you the brief introduction about India. India, you know, Article 1 of the Indian Constitution defines India, that is Bharat. So the Constitution of India itself defines that India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. That means officially we are using this name Bharat to this land of India. Now while coming to how this land acquired this name, how this land called with this name from historical dates. So now today or in the ancient times, the present people of India, the present population of India was used to live in the regions of Indus Valley Indus and its tributaries basin. Now today it is the course of river Indus, and its tributaries. So the earlier civilization, or you can say the civilization of India, which given birth to a separate phase in the society culture of India, or which is said to be the birth civilization for Indian landmass. So this civilization, which is said to be the Indus Valley civilization, IVC was flourished on the basin of this Indus and its tributaries. That's how at that time, somewhere around 6500 BC, when there was Indus Valley civilization here, the people who are living in this region were said to be the people belongs to Indus or Indus basin. So that is how Greeks called this land, these people who are living in the drainage basin of Indus. So the drainage basin, the people who are living at this place in the drainage basin of Indus, they were called as Indians or Indos people by the Greeks. Later their people call it as Indian people. Then when Persians came to this land, they called it as Sindhu. The people belongs to Sindhu, and Persians, because they could not pronounce S, they pronounce S as H. So instead of Sindhu, they used to call it as Hindu. In that way, later the Indus name gradually changed into Hindu, and later they called it as Hindustan. That means the people who are living in the drainage basin of Indus. That means all this land which is east of the Indus river is said to be Hindustan, and the people who are living in the drainage basin of Indus are said to be Indos or Indans, or finally it coming as India, or these people are called as Indians. So this is how from the historical days this name derived through different foreigners who came to India, and these different foreigners, they pronounced this land in different forms, and finally it got this name as India or Hindustan. Clear? So that is the background of the name given to this land as India or Hindustan. But in the Constitution of India there is also Bharat. So this Bharat is also officially recognized by the Constitution of India. That means today we are calling India as also Bharat, in the name of Bharat, because there are different stories about this, but basically one of the story we says, or the evidence, are we believing in this epic. Now in the ancient times there were different kingdoms, but of these kingdoms there was one king called Dushyanta, and who married to a lady called Shakuntala, and because of this Dushyanta and Shakuntala they given birth to one boy, and this boy given the name Bharat, and this Bharat ruled this country almost for 100 years. So because of the ruling of this land by this person Bharat, and this is given the name Bharat Khanda or Bharata Varsha. So it is given the name Bharata Khanda or Bharata Varsha. So it is some epic story based on which we are also calling it as Bharat. So anyhow, today India is also called as Bharat. That's enough. Then if you see the location of India in the world map, look at the neighboring countries of India. Look at the neighboring countries of India. Today India is bordered by 7 countries. So this is India, which is bordered by 7 countries in the world, and these 7 countries are right from the Pakistan here, Pakistan, and here it is Afghanistan, a small strip, then later China, then Nepal, then Bhutan and Bangladesh, and here Myanmar. So today India is bordered by, or the neighboring countries of India are 7, or India is bordered by 7 neighboring countries. That means India is sharing around 15,200 kilometers of land frontier with its neighboring countries. India is sharing 15,200 kilometers of land frontier with its neighboring countries, and these neighboring countries according to the length of the border between India and its neighboring countries. Today Bangladesh is sharing longest border with India. Bangladesh is sharing longest border with India, that is around 4096 kilometers. After this, remember this order, that means the countries which shares longest border with India, second longest border with India, third longest border with India is an important question for you in the examination. So today Bangladesh is sharing longest border with India, that is 4096 kilometers, and after this the second longest border with India is China, and it is 3917 kilometers, and after this the longest border with India is Pakistan, it is 3010 kilometers. Then after this the fourth longest border with India is for Nepal, and it is around 1752 kilometers, and after this Myanmar, its length is its border length is around 1458 kilometers. Then after this the next longest border is with Bhutan, and it is around 587 kilometers, and the shortest border with India is for Afghanistan, and it is just around 80 kilometers. So that means here in the examination there is no need to remember all these values, but you have to remember this order. So that means Bangladesh sharing longest border with India, after that China is sharing second longest border, then Pakistan is sharing longest border, then Nepal, then Myanmar, then Bhutan, then Afghanistan. Is it clear? So this is the order you have to remember. Means here Afghanistan is sharing shortest border, whereas Bangladesh is sharing longest border. These are the neighboring and border countries of India, and the total border length is 15,200 kilometers. Now coming to the different borders between India and its neighboring countries. Today, look at this picture. Here there is border between Pakistan and India, border between India and Afghanistan, and border between India and China, and India and Nepal, India Bangladesh, and India Myanmar. So these borders have been defined in the historical days, or at the time of India's independence. At the time of India's independence, these borders have been declared like this. Today, the borders of India with its neighboring countries, the names, border names, borders of India with its neighboring countries. First, the border between India and Pakistan, which is called as Indo-Pakistan border or Indo-Pak border. Today, the actual border between India and Pakistan is Radcliffe Line. Radcliffe Line is the border between India and Pakistan, and this Radcliffe Line had been defined by a British geographer called Radcliffe in 1947 at the time of partition of India. Then, but later, due to the illegal invasion of these Pakistani tribes into Kashmir, and they occupied some provinces in the Kashmir region, and today as this region is occupied by the Pakistani people, and this is a disputed area between India and Pakistan, and we are calling it as Pak occupied Kashmir, POK, but Pakistani people call it as Azadi Kashmir. That is how it is actually a land belongs to India but occupied by the Pakistani tribes, Pashtun tribes in Pakistan. So that means it is today under illegal occupation of the Pakistani people. But later in 1972, Mrs. Gandhi, the then Prime Minister of India, in consultation with the then Prime Minister of Pakistan, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, they framed a temporary border between this disputed area between India and Pakistan. So it is a border called as LOC, line of control. Remember, apart from this Radcliffe line, the other important border between India and Pakistan is LOC, line of control, line of control, line of control, and this line of control is between POK, line of control is between POK, means Pak occupied Kashmir, Pak occupied Kashmir, because Pakistani people occupied this region without any legality, so forceful occupation. So Pak occupied Kashmir and India, that is the Jammu and Kashmir of India. So this is one point you have to remember. Then the maritime border between this India and Pakistan, that means the border between India and Pakistan you can divide it into three parts. Number one, the official border that is Radcliffe line. Second one, the border between this Pak occupied Kashmir and this Pak occupied Kashmir and the remaining part of the Jammu and Kashmir. And the third border between India and Pakistan is maritime border. So maritime border means here in the waters of Arabian Sea, it is the waters of Arabian Sea. In the waters of Arabian Sea also we have border of India with the Pakistan. So here we have the maritime border in the Arabian Sea waters between India and Pakistan. This maritime border between India and Pakistan is said to be Sar Creek. Sar Creek, of course, it is a disputed region between India and Pakistan, but we consider this Sar Creek line as the maritime border between India and Pakistan. Maritime border. So these are the three important borders lines between India and Pakistan. Then coming to Indo-Afghan border, the border between India and Afghanistan. Indo-Afghan border. So Indo-Afghan border is, look at this picture. So it is a small strip of land shares border, small strip of Indian landmass shares border with Afghanistan. This small strip of Indian landmass which shares border with Afghanistan is Indo-Afghan border, and which is called as, or which is given the name Durand line. D-U-R-A-N-D, Durand line. Clear? So then coming to the border between the border between India and China. So today India is having the second longest border with China, right from the Jammu and Kashmir here up to Arunachal Pradesh here. That's how the border between India and China has actually divided into three sectors, like western sector, middle sector and eastern sector. And in the three sectors we have one single border, that is Indo-China border. Indo-China border. So this Indo-China border has given the name McMahon line. McMahon line, and this McMahon line defined at the time of British Empire in India. We defined this McMahon line between India and China, and you can divide this McMahon line into three parts, like western sector, middle sector and eastern sector. But today this border between India and China as western, middle and eastern sectors is a disputed region, because when the new government came to power in China, that is the present Communist Party of China, when it came into power, it openly declared that we are not at all respecting the McMahon line, we are not at all recognizing the McMahon line. That's how, according to Chinese, there is no official border between India and China. But according to Bharat, according to India, we have this McMahon line as the border between India and China. But somehow today we are maintaining this border, but later during 1960s, the Chinese people occupied this region in northern part of northwestern part of India. So this is already under the occupation of the Pakistani people, but this region now it is under the occupation of the Chinese people. It is under the occupation of the Chinese people. Now this region, which is under the occupation of the Chinese people, is Aksai-Chin Glacier region, which is an 80,000 square kilometers area, which is under the occupation of the Chinese. Now when the Chinese people occupied this region, now it is under the control of the Chinese region. Now again in 1970s, when the Chinese Prime Minister Zhou Enlai, he came to India and he declared that, so there is a border between our occupied Aksai-Chin Glacier and India, that he given as LAC, line of actual control. So that means without consent of India, the Zhou Enlai came to India and he himself declared that LAC is the border between our Aksai-Chin Glacier and the rest of India. So this is how, without our consent, they declared the border between the disputed area between India and China. So now, apart from this McMahon line, today the new boundary between India and China are the disputed area between Aksai-Chin Glacier, Aksai-Chin Glacier, which is under the occupation of the China, and India as LAC. LAC is the border between Aksai-Chin Glacier and India, and this Aksai-Chin Glacier, you can say, illegally or forcibly occupied by the Chinese troops. It is still under the occupation of the Chinese people. So now this LAC is given the name a line of actual control. Line of actual control. Remember this point. LOC, line of control, is the temporary border between Pak occupied Kashmir and India. LAC is the temporary border between Chinese occupied Aksai-Chin Glacier and India. Remember? Right. Then coming to the next one, that is Indo-Nepal border. So Indo-Nepal border is clearly defined in between India and Nepal, and it just given the name Indo-Nepal border. It is just simply called as Indo-Nepal border. Indo-Nepal border. Then coming to the one more border between India and China, it is in between India and Bhutan. This is Bhutan. So this is also clearly defined, and there is no any dispute regarding Indo-Bhutan problem. So it is simply called as Indo-Bhutan border. Indo-Bhutan border. And after this, coming to this Bangladesh. So today we have longest border with Bangladesh, that is known as Indo-Bangla border. But this Indo-Bangla border given the name Radcliffe line, because you know from up to 1972, the present Bangladesh was part of the Pakistan in the name of East Pakistan. So when India got divided into India and Pakistan, Bangladesh joined with Bangladesh joined with Pakistan, and this Bangladesh was part of Pakistan up to 1972. And in 1972, this Bangladesh got separated from the Pakistan, and it became an independent republic country. And from that day onwards, we have the border between India and Bangladesh. But even before that, that means at the time of 1947 itself, as Bangladesh was part of the Pakistan, we defined the border in the 1947 itself, and that's why the same border is continuing even today. So that means even though Bangladesh became independent country in 1972, but the border between India and Bangladesh defined in 1947 itself. So when it was part of the Pakistan, and that is given the name Radcliffe Line only. So Indo-Bangla border is called as Radcliffe Line. Radcliffe Line. And finally, the border between India and Myanmar. So the border between India and Myanmar is simply called as Indo-Myanmar border, and last one is Indo-Myanmar border. Indo-Myanmar border. So this is about the borders of India with its neighboring countries. Then coming to this question, the location and extension of India. Today, this India is located in northern hemisphere. India is in the world map. India is located in the northern hemisphere and the eastern hemisphere. Then according to latitudes, it is in the northern hemisphere. According to longitudes, it is in the eastern hemisphere. In that way, India is located in northeastern part of the globe. So now, today, the latitudes of India are 8 degrees 4 minutes to 8 degrees 4 minutes to 37 degrees 6 minutes. 8 degrees 4 minutes to 37 degrees 6 minutes. These are the latitudes. 8 degrees 4 minutes north latitude to 37 degrees 6 minutes north latitude. Similarly, here it is 68 degrees 7 minutes. 68 degrees 7 minutes east longitude to 97 degrees 25 minutes east longitude. So remember these latitudes and longitudes of India. Today, India is located in northern hemisphere and eastern part of the hemisphere, eastern part of the globe. Now the latitudes are 8 degrees 4 minutes to 37 degrees 6 minutes north latitudes, and 68 degrees 7 minutes east longitude to 97 degrees 25 minutes east longitude. Clear? Now the westernmost point to the easternmost point, the west to east length of India is 2933 kilometers. It is 2933 kilometers. And north to south extension of India, is 3214 kilometers. East to west is 2933, north to south is 3214 kilometers. So that is how it is one of the largest country in the world by area. Today the area of this country is 32,87,463 square kilometers. 32,87,463 square kilometers. So it is 263 square kilometers. Now because of this area, today India is the seventh largest country by area. And I think you know the largest country by area is, today the largest country by area is Russia. Largest country by area is Russia. And after that, India is the seventh largest country, and second largest country after Russia is Canada, and third largest country is China, and fourth largest country is USA, and the fifth largest country is Brazil, and the sixth largest country is Australia, and in that way, in that order, India is the seventh largest country. So try to remember these countries with the largest area. Number 1 Russia, number 2 Canada, number 3 China, number 4 USA, number 5 Brazil, number 6 Australia, number 7 India. So in that way, by area, India is the seventh largest country. And I think you know India is the second most populated country, or it is second largest country by population. And you know the largest populated country in the world is China. China is the largest populated country largest populated country after the China. India is the second largest populated country, and according to 2011 census, the present population of India is around 125 crores. 125 crore. With 125 crore population, India is ranks second in the world in terms of population. Clear? So that is what the geographical extent and the population size of India. Now, because of this 2933 western east to west and 3214 kilometers north south breadth. So because of this vast width and length, or vast breadth and length of this country, because of this large geographical extent, it is also called as subcontinent. India is also called as subcontinent, because generally a continent means a continent will have large area, number one, and it experiences different climatic conditions, and it contains the people of different religions, and the people of that country will follow different traditions and cultures, and the people of that country will speak different languages. So whenever a continent is one where the geographical territory is very vast, and there will be people belongs to different religions, and people will speak different languages, people will have follow different traditions and customs and cultures. But if you take up the greatness of India today, this India, even though is a single country, but it has all these features. It has large territory, it has different climatic conditions, it has different people belongs to different religions, it has people belongs to different traditions, customs and cultures, and it has a variety of languages in its landmass. So because of all these features, today India is said to be Indian subcontinent, or India is considered as a continent. So India is a subcontinent. But Indian subcontinent includes not only the present day India. Indian subcontinent includes the present day India, present day Bangladesh, present day Pakistan, present day India, present day Bangladesh, present day Pakistan, and present day Myanmar, and some parts of Sri Lanka. So these are all the part of the Indian subcontinent. This entire vast territory region can be considered as Indian subcontinent. Clear? So that is what the greatness of India according to its vast territory and according to its different climatic conditions. Now if you see the location of this India according to the latitudes and longitudes, now this India is located in northern hemisphere, and it is located in between 8 degrees north, 4 minutes north to 37 degrees 4 minutes north. That means this is the Tropic of Cancer, which is passing through this Indian landmass. Tropic of Cancer divides this country into two unequal parts. So some part of the country is above the Tropic of Cancer and some part of the country is below the Tropic of Cancer. That means this part of the country is under tropical region, this part of the country is under subtropical region. That is how, because of this tropical and subtropical region or extent, this land experience different climatic conditions. Is it clear? So that's how we can say India is a tropical and subtropical country. It is not at all subtropical, not at all tropical. It belongs to both tropical and subtropical category. Clear? So that is about the latitudinal and the longitudinal extent of India. And remember, this is the equator which is passing through this at the center, not the center, but it divides this country into two unequal parts. Now the states which are passing through this Tropic of Cancer are, remember, the states which are passing through Tropic of Cancer, here first one Gujarat state, and some part of Rajasthan, and some part of Madhya Pradesh, and some part of Chhattisgarh, and some part of, you can say, Jharkhand, and some part of West Bengal, and some part of Meghalaya, and some part of Tripura here. So there are 8 states which are passing through Tropic of Cancer, or the Tropic of Cancer in India is passing through 8 states: Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Tripura and Meghalaya. Remember these 8 states. Now in all these states, in all these states, this Tropic of Cancer is passing through longest distance. Tropic of Cancer is passing through longest distance in Madhya Pradesh, longest distance, and shortest distance in Rajasthan. Shortest distance in Rajasthan. So that is about Tropic of Cancer. Then one more point. Today, for India, I told you the concept of the time zones and standard times or standard latitudes, longitudes or meridians. So now for India, we defined our time zone based on this 82.5 degrees east longitude. So this 82.5 degrees, 82.30 degree, 82 degrees 30 minutes longitude, 82 degrees 30 minutes longitude is the Indian standard meridian. So Indian standard meridian is 82 degrees 30 minutes or 82.5 degrees east longitude, remember. So this 82 degrees 30 minutes longitude or 82.5 degrees 30 minutes east longitude is considered as Indian standard meridian, and the local time of this Indian standard meridian is considered as Indian standard time. Indian standard time. So now it is the Indian standard time, and 82.5 degrees east longitude is the Indian standard meridian. Clear? So that is about briefly the countries, I mean the location and extent of India and the states which are passing through Tropic of Cancer. And if you see the states which are passing through this 82.5 degrees east longitude, so the states which are passing through this 82.5 degrees east longitude, the states which are passing through this 82.5 degrees east longitudes are, see, look at this picture. The states which are passing through 82.5 degrees east longitudes are UP, Uttar Pradesh, then Chhattisgarh, then Odisha, then some parts of Andhra Pradesh. So UP, Chhattisgarh, Odisha and some parts of Andhra Pradesh, and of course here in Andhra Pradesh the Pondicherry province. So the Pondicherry province or Yanam in Pondicherry also passing through this 82.5 degrees east longitude. So UP, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Odisha, UP, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Odisha and Andhra Pradesh state, 5 states, and along with one union territory, that is Pondicherry, which are passing through this Indian standard meridian. Indian standard meridian. Right. Then coming to the northernmost point of India, the northernmost point of India is said to be Indira Col or Kilik Dhawan Pass. The northernmost point of India is called as Indira Col or Kilik Dhawan Pass. Kilik Dhawan Pass or Indira Col. Similarly, the southernmost point of this land is, this is the southernmost point on the mainland. So the southernmost point on the mainland is, southernmost point on mainland is Cape Comorin or Kanyakumari. Southernmost point is Cape Comorin or Kanyakumari, the southernmost point of this land, Cape Comorin or Kanyakumari. But in the southern part, in the territory or in the territorial waters of India or the Indian waters in the Bay of Bengal, there is the southernmost point of India. So that is in the Bay of Bengal waters, here it is the southernmost point of India, the southernmost point of the Nicobar Islands, which is at 5 degrees north latitude. So the southernmost point of India, it is on the mainland, but actually the southernmost tip of India, or the southernmost territory, of India is Indira Point. The southernmost territory is called as Indira Point, and which is also given the name Pygmalion Point. Indira Point or Pygmalion Point. So this Indira Point or Pygmalion Point is located in Great Nicobar Island of Nicobar Group. So this Pygmalion Point or Indira Point is located in Great Nicobar Island. Great Nicobar Island. Right? So now coming to the westernmost point of this country, The westernmost point of this country here is in Gujarat. The westernmost point of this country is in Gujarat, which is the Sabarmati region. The westernmost point of this country is, or you can say, the Rann of Kutch region. Rann of Kutch region is the westernmost point of this country. Rann of Kutch. Kuchchch, Rann of Kutch. Similarly, the easternmost point of this country is, look at this picture. Here it is the easternmost point of this country in the Kibuttu district of Arunachal Pradesh. So Kibuttu district of Arunachal Pradesh, or we consider the Dihang Gorge as the easternmost point. Dihang Gorge is the easternmost point of this country. Easternmost point of this country. So this is how Indira Col is the northernmost point, and Indira Point or Pygmalion Point is the northernmost tip of this country, and Cape Comorin or Kanyakumari is northernmost point in the mainland, and the westernmost point is the Rann of Kutch region, and easternmost point is the Kibuttu district in Arunachal Pradesh, that is Dihang Gorge. So these are the boundaries and northernmost, westernmost, easternmost and southernmost points of this country. So that is brief idea about the location, extension and the latitudes and longitudes of this India. Then we are moving to the actual chapter. That is Indian physiography. Look at this map, it shows the Indian physiography. Friends, here Indian physiography means it mainly discuss about the physical features of India. The physical features of India, or you can say the different landforms of India. The different physical features. You know that landforms means what? These are mountains, these are plateaus, these are plains, these are valleys, these are gullies, and these are, you can say, the deltas. These are all the different types of landforms we have seen in the geomorphology chapter. Similarly, in Indian landmass today, we have different types of mountains, different types of plateaus and different types of plains, and different types of ghats and different types of hills. All are part of these physiography of this land. Now, in India, the Indian physiography basically divided into 5 groups. Number 1, northern mountains. Number 2, northern plains. Number 3, peninsular plateau. Number 4, coastal plains. And number 5, islands. So the physiography of this country can be divided into 5 divisions. Number 1, northern mountains. Number 2, northern plains. Number 3, peninsular plateau. And number 4, coastal plains. And number 5 is islands. So which are all part of this physiography of this country. So that means if you discuss about these 5 areas, 5 divisions, that completes our discussion about Indian physiography. Now first I am coming to the first physiographic division of India. So look at this picture here. So now this green color shows here, so it is the region of northern mountains. Now this this blue color shows about the mountains region, and this green color shows about the plain areas in the northern plains in India, and it is part of the peninsular plateau, and it is part of the Deccan plateau like this. So these 2 divisions, it is Malwa plateau and Deccan plateau, it completes as our peninsular plateau. These 2 divisions shows us peninsular plateau. Then this is west coastal plains, and this yellow color is east coastal plains, and here these are the islands in the Bay of Bengal, and these are the islands in the Pacific Arabian Sea. So these are the last and 5th physiographic division of India. Clear? So then coming to the first physiographic division, that is northern mountains. So northern mountains of India, northern mountains. So these northern mountains of India, which are located in the northern part of this country, which are extended from northwest region up to the southeast region, northwest direction to southeast direction. Now these northern mountains, which are belongs to fold category, so which are fold mountains basically, which are fold mountains, but belongs to Young-fold mountain category, which are formed somewhere around 65 million years ago. That's why the northern mountains of India are said to be fold mountains, and these northern mountains are formed because of the convergent plate boundary between Indo-Australian plate and Eurasian plate. So these are formed due to, so the northern mountains are formed due to convergent plate boundary between Eurasian plate and Indo-Australian plate. Convergent plate boundary between Eurasian plate and Indo-Australian plate means, friends, I told you about the plate tectonic theory in geomorphical chapter. Now whenever it is the Eurasian plate like this, Eurasian plate, and it is the Indo-Australian plate like this, when this Indo-Australian plate is coming toward this Eurasian plate and Indo-Australian plate. Now here, due to the displacement of waters from the Tethys Sea, and there was formation of the geosyncline in the Tethys Sea, which are the sediments. Now these sediments led to the formation of the folds under the convergent force by this Indo-Australian plate towards this Eurasian plate, and these are nothing but our northern mountains. And these northern mountains given the name as Himalayas. These are given the name as Himalayas because Hima means snow. As these mountains are covered with snow, that's why these are called as Himalayas. So the mountains which are covered with snow, which are capped by the snow cover, are said to be Himalayas. So these are actually fold mountains, but given the name Himalayas as they are covered with snow, as they are capped by the snow. So Himalayas are the northern mountains in India. And these northern mountains composed of, as I told you, these are Young-fold mountains formed due to the convergent plate boundary between Indo-Australian plate and Eurasian plate, and these are formed due to the sediments here. The Tethys basin geosyncline was formed, and the geosyncline under the compressional force of the Indo-Australian plate led to form the folds. Now that's why today these Himalayas are composed of rocks. So these rocks are sedimentary rocks. These Himalayas are composed of sedimentary rocks. Basically, there are of course other types of rocks, but basically these Himalayas are composed of sedimentary rocks. And it has been asked in the question, so the Himalayas are majorly composed of different types of rocks, or which of the following types of rocks? So which are majorly composed of sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rock deposits given birth to these Himalayas, right? Now today these Himalayas are basically divided into two parts. Himalayas are basically divided into two parts. Himalayas can be divided into two parts. Number one, Trans Himalayas. Number two, Main Himalayas. Trans Himalayas and Main Himalayas. Now look at the northern part of India here. So those Himalayas which are found in the areas of Indian territory are in the northernmost part of this Indian territory. So these are all northern mountains, but the northernmost part of these Himalayas, northernmost part of these northern mountains are said to be Trans Himalayas. These are Trans Himalayas. So there are three ranges in the Trans Himalayas, and here the remaining part, the remaining part here onwards, these are the Himalayan sections. These are the main Himalayas. So here these are the Trans Himalayas and these are the main Himalayas. So that is how these Trans Himalayas are again divided into three ranges. Trans Himalayas, which are the northernmost section of the northernmost mountains of India. These are the northernmost mountains of India, and under these Trans Himalayas there are three different ranges. Under these Himalayas there are three different ranges, which are Karakoram range, Ladakh range and Jaskar range. So these are the three mountain ranges within the northern mountains. Look at this picture here. So these are the Trans-Himalayan zone. So this is the northernmost section. It is the Trans-Himalayan zone. And in the Trans-Himalayan zone there are three ranges. One is Karakoram range, second one Ladakh range, third one Jaskar range. Now below this Trans-Himalayan zone there is main Himalayas, and these main Himalayas again divide into three parts. Main Himalayas are again divided into three parts. Main Himalayas. So these main Himalayas are again divided into three ranges. These are Himadri or Greater Himalayas. Himadri or Greater Himalayas. Second one Himachal or Middle Himalayas. Himachal or Middle Himalayas. And last one is Shivalik. Shivaliks or Outer Himalayas. So these are the three important ranges in the main Himalayas. Right? Now we will come to one by one. First coming to the Karakoram ranges. So I told you Karakoram is a part of the Trans-Himalayas. This is a part of the Trans-Himalayas, and of course you can say it is the northernmost mountain range in India. Today it is the northernmost mountain range in India. Northernmost mountain range of India. So this Karakoram range also called as Krishnagiri range. It also called as Krishnagiri range. Now this Karakoram range also called as Krishnagiri range. Today in this Karakoram range it is Karakoram range like this in the northern section. Now here there is an important peak. There is an important peak, mountain peak, which is called as K2, or it is also called as Godwin Austen. It is also called as Godwin Austen. Now this K2 and Godwin Austen with a height of 8611 meters, is considered as, or of course today it is the second highest mountain peak in the world. Second highest mountain peak in the world. Second highest mountain peak in the world, and today it is called as Queen of Himalayas. Queen of Himalayas. So in Karakoram range, which is part of the Trans-Himalayas, which is also called as Krishnagiri ranges, there is an important peak with a height of 8611 meters, that is K2 or Godwin Austen, and it is the second highest peak in the world, called as Queen of Himalayas. Clear? Right. Then today this Karakoram range is covered with important glaciers, because the Karakoram range, the average elevation of the Karakoram range is, the average elevation or the average height of this Karakoram range is somewhere around 4500 meters. So when these mountains are there at a particular height of 4.5 kilometers or 4500 meters, at that time, you know, where there will be very, very low temperatures, and because of this very, very low temperatures, the water exists in the form of ice, or the water exists in the form of snow cover. So that is how, due to the condensation of the water into the ice glaciers and ice caps, now today these Karakoram ranges are covered with glaciers. So this Karakoram is known for important glaciers, and these important glaciers which are present in the Karakoram are, you can say, the Siachen Glacier, Aksai-Chin Glacier, Siachen Glacier, and Karakoram Glacier. Karakoram itself is an important glacier, and within these there are important glaciers like, you know, important glaciers like Bayafo, Baltoro, Hisper, Siachen, Aksai-Chin, Karakoram. So these are all important glaciers in Karakoram ranges at that particular height because of the subtropical latitudes. So remember these names: Siachen, Bayafo, Baltoro, Hisper, Aksai-Chin and Karakoram. Then there is an important pass. Pass means, remember, it is a natural gap found between two sections of the mountain range. It is completely a mountain range. It is one section of the mountain range. It is another section. Now in between them there is a gap. So now this gap between two sections of the mountain range is said to be a pass. And these passes are acts as the natural transportation links, the natural transport links from that side to this side. So when there is a pass like this, and this pass is acting as the transport and link from the people to that side to this side, and these are the naturally formed transportation links, naturally formed gaps worked as or act as transportation links. And there is an important pass in these Karakoram ranges, and that is called as Karakoram Pass. Karakoram Pass. So that is about the importance of the Karakoram ranges. Now coming to the second mountain range in the Karakoram, the second mountain range in the Karakoram, I told you, remember friends, you remember the order of these ranges also: Karakoram range, and Ladakh range and Jaskar range, north, south, south. So the second range of the Karakoram is Ladakh range. The second is Ladakh range, and this Ladakh range is extended up to Tibet, Tibetan region here. So this Karakoram range extends up to Tibetan region here, and this Ladakh range here in the Tibet, Ladakh range in the Tibet is called as, it extends up to Tibet, and in Tibet it is called as Kailas range, and Tibet it is called as Kailas ranges. Remember this name, Ladakh range in India, in Ladakh plateau of Jammu and Kashmir, but it is extend up to Tibet, and in Tibet it is called as Kailas range. Then coming to the third one, that is the Ladakh range. After this is Jaskar range, and this Jaskar range, which is located in India, which is of course the boundary between, or the border between this Trans Himalayas and the main Himalayas, Trans Himalayas and the main Himalayas. So this is about the Trans Himalayas, and in the next class I will discuss about the main Himalayas and their importance and their structure, right? Thank you.